Keefe D's lawyer in the Tupac murder trial admits how Keefe D could be criminally liable for the murder or the participation in the murder of Tupac Shakur. Oh, this is interesting. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Life is like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor. Click on what appears to be that little bell notification if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game. Also, thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And like I always say, thank you. I appreciate your time. But this is interesting right here. So Keefe D's lawyer has been speaking out a lot in the media. And in regards to the 2009 interview that he did with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, right? And basically what Keefe D's lawyer has been saying is that, he's been saying it doesn't really matter. He's talked about how Greg Kading and also Detective Dupree somehow, some way entrapped Keefe D into making criminal statements, if you will, or should I said statements, basically him admitting to and being involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur. What's interesting is I don't really see how that is based on Keefe D's lawyers basically saying that the interview that he gave to Greg Kading in 2008 was not consistent with the interview that he gave to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in 2009. But the difference is, and this is where I think Keefe D lawyer has it really wrong, is the fact that when Keefe D talked to Greg Kading, he was promised a proffer agreement, if you will. And after, like a few months after that, Detective Dupree, Darren Dupree, basically got Keefe D to go to talk to Metropolitan Police Department in Las Vegas because they were still investigating the case. And so even though he had made a deal with the U.S. Attorney and Greg Kading and the LAPD involving his drug case, in which he then started to cooperate involving the Tupac case and admitted to tell everything that he knew about that in regards to his involvement also, even though he had did that, Las Vegas, which had jurisdiction over the case from a state level from that perspective, was still investigating the case. So Keefe D agreed to go to talk to Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department at the request of Darren Dupree because they were still investigating it criminally. And what I think happened was they offered Keefe D. They said, well, you go talk to them. And I think Keefe D thought that him talking to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department was basically covered under the proffer agreement that he had with Greg Kading and him. And like I said, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if there's language in his proffer agreement from that perspective. But one thing is for sure, and two things are for certain. In that interview that he had gave a few months later, right? Keefe D didn't get any promises of immunity from the Las Vegas Police Department when he talked to them. What he had signed with Greg Kading appears to be something totally different from him talking to the Las Vegas Police Department, because basically, like I said, they had said that, they weren't offering up any deal, and anything that he said in the interview with them can be charged, can be used against him in a criminal proceeding, right? Which I still believe is true today. Keefe D's lawyer is basically saying, hey, you know what? We're not even worried about that. But this is the part that's really, really interesting to me, if you will. Now, remember, in Keefe D's book, he's basically stating that he was involved. He talked about how he got the gun. He talked about all of those things, right? But there's one specific in this interview that Keefe D's lawyer gave up, I don't really think that this bodes well for Keefe D. And if you check this out, this look at this right here. And it says, but it has not fazed Davis, Keefe D, or his lawyer Arnold as yet. It has not been made available through the court records with no confirmation from the DA independently confirming that the tape will be used in the November hearings, meaning when they go to trial in November, right? But when asked what his takeaways from the Keefe D's confession in 2009, his lawyer said, my takeaway is this: the bottom line, in 2009, you had all the evidence right there in front of you. I mean, the story for all our intent and purposes hasn't changed. Listen to what he's saying. He's saying the story hasn't changed. This is Keefe D lawyer saying the story has not changed. Listen. So he's basically saying that what the story that Keefe D told has not changed. And that is, you got the gun from Zip, gang affiliate Eric Von Zip. You gave it to Orlando. Orlando shot Tupac. Basically, Keefe D's lawyer saying, okay, that's the story that Keefe D's been telling, as he told in his book, as he told in various interviews, right? Then he says, you had that information in 2009. Why did it take you so long to go ahead and prosecute? Now, they didn't have to prosecute when Keefe D's lawyer thought they should prosecute. For whatever reason, they didn't prosecute. They chose to do it in 2023 and have the trial in 2024 for whatever reason that people may have a problem with that, right? But this is the part that really that Keefe D lawyer believes how Keefe D could be or is criminally liable in the Tupac case. He says, I mean, if you look at all the other stories, those are the main components of how Keefe D would be criminally liable for the case. So you had all of that, all of the central parts back in 2009. What have we heard that is different? Now, I believe that's a mistake on Keefe D's lawyer's part. And the reason why I believe that's a mistake is because Keefe D's lawyer is agreeing from hindsight, doing a hindsight 2020 from that perspective. He's agreeing that Keefe D could be liable or is liable from what he said in those statements in regards to his involvement in the participation in the murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, as to the timeline and when the prosecutors or the state or whoever else wanted to prosecute, that's in their own timeline. There's no statute of limitations involving murder. That's why they charged Keefe D with the one count of murder, with the gang enhancements, right? So now, by Keefe D's lawyer making that admission, he's basically saying that, yeah, he could be held criminally liable. So I don't understand this stark contrast now from the defense and saying, well, he wasn't in Vegas. Well, he wasn't there. Because the lawyer just said that the story that Keefe D's been telling him prior to him even coming along and him observing the case now, that Keefe D, once again, when you look at it, once again, he says, I mean, if you look at all the other stories, those are the main components of how Keefe D would be criminally liable for the case. What components? About him getting the gun from Zip, right? Him giving it to Orlando, and Orlando shot Tupac. I think the fact of the matter is that the Las Vegas Police Department were in agreement with Greg Kading and the U.S. Attorney at that particular time, and respecting the fact that, hey, they had a proffer agreement, right? But what we have can be still used in a criminal proceeding. I think what Keefe D went wrong was when he kept talking and kept talking and kept talking outside of that proffer agreement. And I don't think most people understand that when they say, well, why did it take so long? No, the Las Vegas Police Department was in in agreement. Okay, cool. Y'all got the proffer agreement. He admitted to it, and so on and so forth. That's why they didn't release that 2009 interview. They didn't have to. They already had what Greg Kading them had, and hopefully that the story was consistent enough from that perspective that, okay, cool, we're cool with this. But like I told you, I did the story or the interview with Tupac's father, and I asked him, what do you think about the government giving Keefe D a deal, involving the murder of his son? And he said, he laughed and kind of, facetiously laughed, and he said, the government gave him the deal, And then shortly after that is when we seen the situation ramp up a little bit, and that interview's on the Art of Dialogue. Y'all could check that out if you haven't seen it already. So like I said, once again, when you deal with that, Keefe D's lawyer is basically saying that in 2009, they had the evidence that would have made Keefe D liable, or the statements that it would have made Keefe D liable in the murder of Tupac Shakur for his involvement, right? What has changed? Nothing. And since then, Keefe D has written a book stating the same thing. So this is real problematic. Like I said, most people don't really understand and if you haven't been really following this is something that, that should open your eyes. Like I said, it's going to be really hard for Keefe D to win this case. And I'm just looking at the facts of the matter, and the fact of the matter, should I say, because even his lawyer, once again, I got the gun from Zip, gang affiliate Eric Von Zip, gave it to Orlando. Orlando shot Tupac. And Keefe D's lawyer said, basically, if you look at all the other stories, those are the main components of how Keefe D would be criminally liable for the case. Yeah, this is an uphill battle, man. I just wanted to bring this to you guys because, like I said, when I came across this statement, I'm like, oh, wow. So Keefe D's lawyer, and, being a lawyer, you have to look at things from all sides. And like I said, this is in Keefe D's book. So this came afterwards, right? So the statements that he made in the proffer agreement were one thing, but the statements that he came out making after that he was protected under the proffer agreement, he wasn't protected. This is the reason why he got charged in 2023 and going to trial in November 2024. And I think his lawyer knows that. So, yeah, this is very interesting. Just thought I'd bring this to you guys. Yo, chime in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. Keefe D lawyer basically thinks that the statements that Keefe D made in his book, his own lawyer, and what he told Greg Kading in the Metropolitan Police Department, that's the reason that Keefe D could have been liable. His problem was, more importantly, why did it take so long? But there's no statute of limitations on murder. So it really didn't matter how long it took. Chime in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. Your boy Delray, straight game.